And welcome, everyone, to another episode of the Kuehl Show Quick Hits Edition. Oops, wrong button. Got to remember what button I got to press here. We are joined today by a man, because obviously, we got to do these lovely interviews, obviously, on this Wednesday, February the 24th. Got to remember what day it was. It's been so many days. The man I'm joined by today, I was actually on his podcast, or on his 5 Minutes with Erik, what he does with CIH Media. He is none other than the man that is the host of the Bleav in Avalanche podcast on Bleav Podcast Network. Also, the director of media and play-by-play broadcaster for the Anaheim Ducks High School Hockey League. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show, none other than Erik Pessolano. Erik, how are we doing today? Two down and 30 to go. Trying to get, for some reason, your audio is not going through. I thought I was able to hear it. Oh, I know what happened. Hold on here. Let me make sure. I don't know what happened. Oh, gosh. Great start to the show, everybody. Just when you thought we had it, just when we thought we had everything good to go. There we go. I think I can hear you now. Speak there, Erik.
Am I back?
There you are. Okay, we got you. Erik, by the way, is saying that he has got the best behind with the NHL broadcaster, doing stuff for the Avalanche and living in California, working for the Anaheim Ducks High School Hockey League. Erik, I got a little excited because guess what I heard the other day? I was hearing a lot about the good news coming because I saw a picture of the rink in Anaheim there posted by the Anaheim Ducks High School Hockey League. I know you can't talk much about it, but are we getting closer? Or at least you getting closer?
Well, to the keen eye, if you look closer at that picture, it wasn't exactly Anaheim. But I'll have you go back, and I'll let your listeners and your viewers go back and check that one out. We hope so. We certainly hope that's the case. Here in California, high school sports, outdoor sports anyway, have been given the green light to go ahead. It's county by county, of course, with everything going on, but hopefully within the next few weeks, we're going to see outdoor sports. Hockey, that's a little bit different, right? Everything inside still has a little ways to go, but we're going to try to find a way. We want to get back to the ice, so we'll see what we can do. Yeah, it'll certainly be interesting because I actually did my first high school game just the other day, and I'm honestly, it's a different ball game. You do, because I've done college hockey, I've done NCAA college hockey. It's just a completely different retrospect on, it's a different environment, right? Oh, it's a completely different environment, especially here in Southern California. Everybody knows, for the most part, that club hockey is the way to go to move up through the ranks. In Southern California, we have club hockey, but there's not a whole lot of it, but it is the way to go. And with the Anaheim Ducks High School Hockey League, it gives the kids who still want to continue to play hockey for their school a chance to go out there and wear the school emblem on their chest to get out there. So the support is something that I never thought I'd ever see. I started doing this, oh my gosh, I'm going into my 12th year with the league now.
Jeez.
But 12 years ago, we didn't know what to expect. High school teams were playing club teams just to schedule games because there weren't many teams. Now the high school teams can all play each other, and it has just grown exponentially, and we don't see an end to that in sight.
That's obviously always good, just knowing the growth of California hockey. And I know everyone's like, oh, it's because of Wayne Gretzky, and there's some merit to that. But let's jump to the team that you're working with right now, Erik, the Colorado Avalanche. You picked a great time to go. And by the way, 7th episode of the Bleav in Avalanche podcast just dropped today, if I'm not mistaken. Right, Erik?
That is correct, yeah.
Yep, so that just dropped. And let's just first get the reaction to this past weekend. Saturday, Lake Tahoe, beautiful venue. Everything seemingly going to be working for this event. And this thing called the sun. This Mother Nature thing called the sun decided to ruin it a little bit. But I'll be honest, the game looks better in the sun, but obviously it was played better on the ice. At least that was my perspective. What did you think about the game at Lake Tahoe on Saturday between the Avs and the Knights?
When you do something as grandiose as this, you're going to run into things you didn't think you'd run into. I know we have meteorologists and they all do a fine job, but you can't always predict the weather. Everything looked fine when they dropped the puck. As a matter of fact, in the podcast, I talked to Connor McGahey from Altitude Sports Radio, and he was saying everything looked fine for a while, and then all of a sudden, the clouds started parting, and burning off. The overcast started burning off when it was getting closer to the lake. And now you have sun rays beaming down straight on that sheet of ice, and guys start tripping, and it's very, very unsafe. Of course, player safety is number one. Avs looked great in that first period. They were flying around out there. I could tell they were a touch slower than normal. I don't know if it's because they were outside and it wasn't just, rows of seats behind them to make them look a little slower. But then we find out that the ice certainly had its issues. So they were doing great. It sounded like they wanted to keep going after that first period, but I think the smarter heads prevailed in that one, and they went ahead and delayed the game by a full workday before they got back out there.
Well, that was the crazy part in all this, was because you sit there and you think, because here's just a brief in retrospect what happened my day. That was the day I did the high school game. I'd worked the morning at the radio station, so I was on about 3 hours of sleep and probably been working about 10 hours up until that point. So I get home and I'm like, well, I'll watch because it was the game had just started by the time I left. So I'm like, how about I go to, I'm like, let me take a bath and watch the game, right? Just do like the straight white girl thing. Just sit back. I had beer, though. I didn't have wine. I had beer. I had my laptop there. I was going to watch the game, and the game, first period ends or whatever, and the intermission starts. I'm like, okay, I'll wait till the second period to get out or whatever. The second period never came, Eric. I finally got out, realizing my body was going to probably be pruned by the end of it. It's the longest intermission ever. What did you do to spend your time?
I was going to put on some of the other games. I think I did a little bit of that. Caught up on the DVR a little bit. I had some things that were waiting. Made some food, which, it's what we do on Saturdays, and just tried to pass whatever time I could. Hung out on Twitter a little bit and interacted with some of the fans, some of the Avs fans, and just kind of waited around. And then next thing you know, it's, where I'm at, it was only 9 o'clock at night. Most Avalanche fans, it was 10 o'clock at night. And I don't know how many people on the East Coast were able to stay up for it, but
I stayed up for a little bit.
Did you?
Yeah.
I made it. I made it all the way to the end because it wasn't too bad for me. I still was able to get the entire Saturday Night Live in. But after all was said and done, they came out. They played great in those lines. Looked like players on both teams were happy and very thankful for what the ice crew was able to do to get that game back to playable, get the surface back to playable. And hey, good for us. The Avs came out with that victory and another clutch goal late, and they get those 2 points, which were a big 2 points, by the way. My favorite stat from that 4-game series against Vegas was Colorado won twice. They won once on the road, once at home, and both of those wins were in Nevada. I'm never going to be able to say that ever again, I don't think.
That was the strange part about it, because you almost wonder why they didn't give like the home games it's in Nevada to the Vegas Golden Knights. But I guess since Colorado hadn't had enough home games at that point, I'm not sure. But I mean, that's one thing with the schedule. But looking at the standings, currently heading into tonight, they are technically third in the West in points. However, in winning percentage, they are second, ahead of St. Louis, who has got the most games, I think, except for Los Angeles, who both have 19 games between the two of them. As coming into tonight's game, Colorado winning percentage behind Vegas, 9-5-1. What's your impression so far about the Avs? I mean, they're not bad, but it doesn't seem like they're meeting the expectations people had going into this season.
I'm going to make a bold statement here, and I am the most pessimistic person when it comes to sports, and I think it's mostly because I've had my heart broken so many times. I don't want to have it happen again. I think, Cleveland Browns fans can probably sympathize with me.
They had nothing to cheer for ever until this year. They're like, wait, we know what it's like to lose in the playoffs?
Yeah, that's a good point. So I was, oh goodness, I'm going to date myself here. I think I was 15 years old when the Avalanche won their last Stanley Cup. And that team was incredible. We all remember those teams.
Yep.
The first two cup winning teams they had. I have not felt this good about this franchise until this season. And
Jeez.
I think they've got a real shot to win there's no conferences, so they'll be one of the two teams in the final. I'll put it like that. I think with so many issues with the roster when it came to COVID, when it came to injuries, that Jared Bednar and Joe Sakic had a lot of work to do. They still have a lot of work to do, and they haven't. I don't think they've really played a single game with their top, 20-something guys that they wanted. from day one. They haven't played with that top unit all in one game. It's been taxiing guys in and out. No pun intended with the taxi squad, but the way they've managed it and have still been able to rack up points like this and even look pretty good in games they haven't won. Monday night notwithstanding, they did not look good against Vegas in that final game of the 4-game set. And they still had a chance to win that game. I know it was 3-0. They gave up all three in that third period, but they were still well in that game. A bounce here or there. I think I mentioned on the podcast, they could have won that game 5-3. And we would have felt so much better about it in Denver. But playing well, some nights you feel like, oh my gosh, they don't have it. Other nights you're like, wow, who's going to stop this team? I'm more toward who's going to stop this team, because once they get to full strength and finally have a few games where they play together with that full lineup, it's going to be tough to stop them.
Yeah, no question about it, because I think that's the big kicker in all this, because I was in Denver last year during that series against Dallas, and I was just I was listening to some sports talk radio in the area, and there was a lot of people that were panicking, I guess you can say. I'm like, oh my gosh, how could this team lose? I'm like, well, it's still a young team. They haven't really ever had a run past the second round yet with this group that they've had. And, Grubauer got hurt, of course, and then Francouz got hurt, and you had to rely on Michael Hutchinson. And for us Leafs fans, we could tell you that's not what you want to do. Now, granted, he had an incredible couple games and actually got that team to a 7th game against Dallas. But, they're back at it again. And shockingly enough, Eric, the guy that's leading this team, some guy named Nathan McKinnon, arguably the best player to come out of Cole Harbour, Nova Scotia. I don't know about that guy in Pittsburgh. No one knows anything about him, but Nathan McKinnon, once again, leading the team with 18 points. I mean, what more can you say about the guy, once again, leading this hockey club?
Doing it differently, also. He's got 18 points, but he's only got 4 goals. And I don't think that's anything that we all expected so far this year. He's setting up his teammates, which, in the long run, I think is a huge help, especially when you're moving guys in and out of the lineup. You make your teammates feel comfortable. They're going to feel a lot better as that season wears on. I think you're going to see a team that's very battle-tested from 1 to about 35. If we're talking about number of players that are going to get a chance to play this year with that team. I know it's not that high of a number. I'm here for the hyperbole all day long. But
make it sound big. Make it big.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of guys who are going to feel a lot more comfortable in the lineup who haven't played a lot of games in the NHL. We saw it with Jacob McDonald, Logan O'Connor getting a lot of minutes here this season. These are guys that are role players that are going to feel a lot better as the season wears on. It's kind of nice that it happens in a 56-game season. Yeah, it's going to be real quick when it's all said and done, but they're going to be forced into the fire a lot quickly and forced to make those adjustments. I think they've adjusted well, and number 29 is a huge reason why everybody feels good.
Yeah, there's a lot of pieces, though, with this hockey club. It's not just McKinnon. Cale Makar, while he's been in and out of the lineup, he's still up there in points. Who else do you think has really stepped up this year and really showed up that they're up to snuff so far in the first part of the season for the Avs?
I think it's a guy you mentioned who got hurt in the playoffs last year. It's Philip Grubauer, who, in my opinion, is the team MVP to this point in the season. This is someone who, when he was acquired, it was all right, we got somebody in net, I guess. At least that was the feeling around Avs Nation. And now we come into this season, this guy might be the Vezina winner by the time the season is over. He had his 2 highest goals against averages in his career the last 2 seasons. And this year, now he's got one of the lowest in his career, and he's on pace. It probably won't happen, but he's on pace to have the GAA under 2. Right now, I think he's somewhere around 1.7 something or other.
1.78 with 2 shutouts.
Yeah, we should give credit. He is pretty much carrying the load for them right. I think I asked Connor McGahey, is he going to get a day off this week? We're not entirely sure. They adjusted the schedule a little bit. They have that Minnesota game coming up later tonight, and then they've got a back-to-back against Arizona going into the weekend. And now the game after that, supposed to be against San Jose, but of course they had a COVID issue today, had to cancel their game against Vegas, so we'll see if that game on Monday even happens. But that actually might help Grubauer's case to play all 3 games this week, but we'll see. Backup goaltending right now is a big question mark. Hunter Misko went back down to the AHL. And then we have Adam Werner, who's the backup goaltender right now, who has not seen the ice so far this season. Maybe he gets a chance in one of those 2 against Arizona. We'll see. But for me, Philip Grubauer's got to be the guy that gets the most praise right now.
If if there is a season, because nowadays in the National Hockey League, you see a lot of the 1A, 1B. You need to have two goaltenders that play well, especially in an 82-game season with the rate of play that it is and how much of wear and tear it is on goaltenders these days. You can't have a goaltender like Craig Billington going like 6-7 for the behind Patrick Waugh. But if there is a goaltender to really, I mean, if there's a year to have one guy just play every game, despite a condensed schedule, because only 56 games and having to be a sprint, it's this year. And I guess that's what the Avs may have to do with Philip Grubauer.
First of all, shout out to Craig Billington. You can chalk that one up under names I never thought I'd hear it again, but I loved him when he was around. He did what he was asked.
At least won a few games.
Yeah, right. We don't need too much. Just the other guys got it. You come in here, give us a couple. I think you're right. I think the condensed season really helps. One of the big issues the Avalanche are going to face for the rest of the season is they no longer have 2 days off consecutively for the rest of the regular season.
True.
And that's all due to rescheduled games and whatnot. So every other team has that at least once or twice the rest of the way. They don't have any. So for Grubauer, rest is going to be very important. They're just going to have to take their bumps and throw somebody out there every now and again just so Philip's got some rest before they go to the postseason. The good news is, the length of the postseason is back to normal. There's no bonus round, as I called it last year, that they might have to fight through. We're back pretty much to normal. And the other good news is the first 2 rounds are going to be against teams that you saw 8 times during the regular season.
Exactly.
So you kind of know what you're up against. The rest factor, it might be an issue going forward for him, but as long as he stays healthy, they're going to be in good shape.
Because then you can look at the possibility of playing against teams that may not be as good. I'm thinking, Anaheim's a lot more improved this year. I know they may not be a playoff team in the playoff hunt, but they're a little bit better. But like when you go up against a team like San Jose or Los Angeles, that, can be competitive, but isn't a team you need to really worry about, that team that you don't need points against. Obviously if it's Vegas, you'll probably get Grubauer, but you can put in Miska or someone else, to give Grubauer a break against the lesser teams, you would think, right?
Yeah, but I wouldn't count out the Kings. They're sitting right there in that 4 spot right now, and if they get in, take a look at the West Division, or the Honda NHL West Division. Did
I blink? I thought they were last time I checked, but then again, that was yesterday.
Yeah, they creeped up a little bit there going into this week, but pretty much everybody in that division is within a point of each other. So
holy cow, you're right.
Fluctuate, with every game that is played, somebody's moving from 4th to 8th or up to 3rd. It's a mess. But you look at the goaltending in this division, everyone wonders, they're a little frustrated with the offensive output for Colorado. Well, there's a reason for that. Look at the goaltenders in this division. They got to face Jordan Binnington 8 times. He won a Stanley Cup. They got Jonathan Quick 8 times. He won 2 Stanley Cups. John Gibson plays for the worst team in the division. I mean, what else can you possibly do to beat these guys? And it's going to frustrate them. We see it a lot, too, when Mikko Rantanen gets a great shot or Burakovsky on the outside gets one on target, and it looks like you have an empty net. I think Kadri had what looked to be an empty net against Marc-Andre Fleury the other night. Nope. He just pushed off the pads and moved over to the side and was able to knock it away almost no problem. What else do you have to do? You're running your offense damn near perfectly, and you still can't score on these guys. So you got to get through those first 2 rounds. It is not going to be a cakewalk. It almost might be easier in the third, the semifinals and the final than it would be in the first 2 rounds if you're coming out of the West.
That's true, because I'm actually looking at the goals against right now. The team that has the worst goals against in the conference is San Jose with 64, which I don't think is shocking anybody right now. The team that has the lowest, which may be a shock. Vegas is the lowest, but second lowest is actually Colorado has the least. Vegas is second. Third is Minnesota, which, they have a much improved goaltending with having Cam Talbot in there. And I know Alex Stalock's still out, but they have Kaapo Kähkönen, who's a really good young goaltender. But, going back to the Avs and looking at the team that they have right now. And like I said, I'm shocked now because I swore LA was last just the other day. And Minnesota was like 6th or something. And it was going to be the top 3 is going to be Vegas, St. Louis, and Colorado, which I had picked in the beginning. But is there a player on this team that hasn't really looked as good as they should? Is there a guy that's kind of, I don't say let their foot off the gas, but just kind of slowly had kind of just gone through the motions in the first part of this season, Erik?
This one hurts me a little bit because he's such a huge piece on the penalty kill, and that's Ryan Graves. I think he's taken a lot of heat in Denver over the course of this season, even a little bit at the end of last year, that when it's 5-on-5, there's just too many mistakes that have been made. But my goodness, is he such a big piece on that penalty kill. He stepped it up the other night against Vegas. And the Knights, I think the Knights scored once on the power play the other day, but the Avs have one of the top penalty killing units in all the National Hockey League, and you hate to take a guy like that out of there. But I think he's one who would need to improve all around, but it's tough to single out just one person. If I had to pick somebody, it'd be him. But even with him, there's still some positives going around. So that also contributes to one of the reasons why I feel great about the team this year than I have in years past.
Well, I mean, that's just one thing. I mean, it's really hard to have the guy have the best plus minus in the league for the second year in a row. That's something that's was shocking to me because I totally forgot that. I mean, plus minus is a tough stat to follow nowadays because there's some forwards that can score like 100 points, like Leon Draisaitl had a good plus minus. Well, when you're not on the ice when the other team scores and you're the one scoring, that makes it easy. But just a few more minutes here with Erik before we have puck drop tonight. 9:00 puck drop Eastern Standard Time for the Avs and Minnesota Wild. Right out there for you. Lucky enough for you, it's only 6:00, so it's still daylight over there in California. But
going down, it's staying lighter later. We're getting close. We're getting closer to the daylight savings. What is it? Ending or beginning? I don't remember which one it is. Either way,
my phone does it automatically for me these days.
Same. But yeah, this is going to be one of the rare one-off games. The NHL scheduled it the season mostly as series back-to-backs, or 3 or 4 in a row. This will be a rare one-off for the team. They're going to have a few with all the rescheduling, but tonight is a rescheduled game as well. It was supposed to be played. This was the game that was missed right when Minnesota found out they had some positive tests. I think Colorado won 2-1, and then the game the next day was postponed. So this is that rescheduled game, and then the 2 Arizona games had to be pushed around a little bit, and then we'll get quote unquote back to normal. I don't know.
Who knows what normal is these days? I mean, I'm so used to watching the Leafs in the North Division because a lot of my social media friends are up in Ontario, so they're always talking about this big game tonight between Vancouver and Edmonton, third game in a row, and I'm like, so I'm used to seeing teams play multiple times. Obviously, when COVID happens, I mean, kind of gets in the way, but Minnesota. I was listening to the Bar Down Beauties podcast, and they were talking about how Minnesota, their offense is starting to click, and it seems like since they've gotten back in the swing of things after their big COVID outbreak, they're starting to get better. And Minnesota, I mean, like we talked about, they're right there in the playoff hunt right now. They have a really good defense score. They have good goaltending. Talk about this matchup tonight. What do the Avs need to do to knock off what is seemingly like another pesky Minnesota team?
Outside of Vegas, St. Louis, Colorado, just like you had, I had Minnesota as the 4th team going into the postseason.
I did too.
Yeah.
They always make it.
Somehow, they've been a thorn in my side for years. I'll never forgive them for ending Patrick Waugh's career. But they're starting to click again. They're absolutely correct. Their offense, I don't care how old Zach Parise is. He's always going to be the guy for me. Just every time you see him out there, whether it's Team USA, whether he's with the Wild, or years ago when he played for New Jersey, you always had to keep an eye on him. So, watching him fly around out there, even where he's at in his career, is something to watch. It's going to be another piecework game for Colorado tonight. Brandon Saad is out. He's with his wife for the birth of their child, so he's out of the lineup. They move Landeskog back to the top line, so the three-headed monster is back. I'm excited to watch them get back together on the ice. Landeskog was on the third line the other night against Vegas. So a couple things being slotted around. Burakovsky is going to drop down to that third line and replace Landeskog there. So we'll see. It's just another shift for Jared Bednar, who I think said either earlier today or yesterday that every time he sees the offense not quite clicking the way he'd like it to, I'm going to change things around. And he was kind of forced to today, but you can see some of the other moves were probably based around that reason alone. So we'll see how they work out tonight and see if they can go get 2 points against a really stingy Wild team.
Oh, man, the Wild there's always been 3 certainties with the Minnesota Wild. One, they'll have some of the most rowdy fans at their arena, no matter how bad they are. They'll make it to the playoffs somehow, and if they do, they'll always beat Colorado in 7 games in the first round. That's just how it's. Hey, you remember Andrew Burnett, beautiful goal, and then Nino Niederreiter in 2014, ending Patrick Waugh's pretty much his glory days as a head coach after one season almost.
Yep, I remember sitting on my couch watching that game, and when that happened, it was all you could do was turn the TV off and go to bed, and it wasn't even that late out here. But yeah, that's all I wanted it to. But every time it's a game against the Wild, it heats up just a little bit more. So we'll see if they come out swinging tonight and maybe get this rivalry really going again, because all these. It's been a while since they played each other, right? With the postponement, so it's nice to see them get back to each other. But well, I guess we'll just have to see how it goes.
Hopefully it goes well. Watch out for Kirill Kaprizov, though. That guy is having an incredible year. 13 points already. He scored in the last game between the Avs and the Wild. I mean, that guy is just literally out of the coming out of nowhere stories. I mean, there's been some guys at Colorado's obviously had Cale Makar. Well, honestly, Cale Makar came out of nowhere. He was a Hobie Baker Award winner, but then in his first series in the NHL, he looked like he had been there before. Kaprizov is almost that same way. So obviously that's someone they have to watch out for tonight. We'll let you get ready for that one, Eric. Puck drops in just a couple minutes between that game. We'll stay here on TKS. Eric, make sure you guys can follow Eric at Eric_Palasono. Make sure you can or Pessolano. Why can I say Palasono? I just completely reversed your last name. Eric Pessolano. Hey, trust me, I've seen that highlight of you. You completely messed up your own name when you were doing a broadcast.
Oh.
I seen that highlight. That's impressive. When you give yourself someone else's name, that's something else. But
if you can't laugh at yourself, I don't know what else you can do.
Be sure to check out the Bleav in Avalanche podcast at Bleav in Avs on Twitter. It's on Apple Podcasts and the Bleav podcast. Or check out all their great podcasts there for Bleav. Eric, thanks for taking the time to stop by today. Enjoy the game tonight, and hopefully we'll talk to you later on down the season when, maybe the Wild and Avs will be in the playoffs against each other? Question mark?
My goodness, I hope not. But thanks for having me, Tyler. It's always good to talk to you, and we'll see you soon.
All right, Eric, we'll check you later. That was Erik Pessolano having a good one here. He's getting ready to go for the game tonight. We are sticking here on the Kuehl Show as, all of a sudden we're still there? Okay, we're still live. So we had issues there for a second with the audio. Hopefully it wasn't too crummy. I do apologize on behalf of Eric, because I was able to work it out, because I don't know what happened. It was weird. But just a couple of quick things here before we let you go, because obviously there was some news today. And if you've been following our ticker right above me here on the Kuehl Show, Claude Julien and Kirk Muller fired from the Montreal Canadiens today. I'm not saying this is the biggest surprise in the world, but I'll tell you this. I was shocked. Now, let's just give some backstory here. Montreal, despite the amazing start they had, lost 5 out of their last 6 games. And let me tell you right now, guys, the interview that I did last week with TSN's Brian Mudryk right here on TKS Quick Hits just completely gets wiped away, because what was the point of that interview? Because now, obviously, it makes me look like a buffoon. And Brian, let's be honest, though. What did Brian say? I asked Brian, are they out of Dodge? Are they out of Dodge in, is Marc Bergevin, having any issues? Is he okay? Is Montreal fans okay with Marc Bergevin being the general manager? What did he say? Give it a week. It's been a week, and now everyone is looking at this team like, what in the blue blazing hell just happened? You lose back-to-back games to the Senators. They lose a tough one last night in a shootout in a game where they could have won. I feel bad, because Claude Julien was doing such an amazing job with this hockey club, right? And they had such a great start to the year. They had just a solid start. They were looking good, looking like a team that's going to make the playoffs, and all of a sudden they're back to 4th. They've lost 5 of their last 6 games. They lose 2 to Ottawa. Now, Grant, I'll say this right now. The Ottawa Senators are a team that was built this year to beat Toronto and Montreal. That's it. No other team can lose to the Ottawa Senators except for Toronto and Montreal. So those points can go to the Sens. But regardless, it's an impressive feat to just all of a sudden go from sky-high Stanley Cup aspirations, like Brian Mudryk said, this team wants to win the Stanley Cup, to firing your head coach and getting rid of your assistant coach. Now, Dominique Ducharme is taking over, the former Vermont Catamount, by the way, Dominique Ducharme. He'll be the interim head coach. Mark Bergevin brought him in to be one of the assistants, and he thought, hey, this could be the guy for us in the future. It could be a head coach down the line. So obviously now sink or swim if you're Ducharme. But here's another kicker, though. Alex Burrows, assistant coach with Laval, now assistant coach with the big club in Montreal. I mean, I don't know what this team needs to do. Now, here's the thing. Two things here that we have to consider. Obviously, yes, a good coach will get a team out of a slump. But look at the last 2 games for Carey Price. We keep pumping Carey Price over and over again, and I wish I could have gotten the clip out here for you for the Brian Mudryk highlight when I talked to him about the goaltending controversy, or would there be a goaltending controversy? And for those that follow us on social media, Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, at The Kula Show, he said, no chance of a goaltending controversy. Jake Allen's the 1B. Well, Carey Price had 2 bad starts against the worst team in the North Division, and now Jake Allen looks like the better goaltender. You're telling me there's not a goaltending controversy right now in Montreal? You are out of your mind. By the way, the Leafs just almost scored. We got Leafs and Calgary on here in the studio right now. I know it's TKS quick hits, and I'm going on a rant. Listen, guys, just stick with me here for a minute, okay? Because this is the big news of the day, obviously. And I just don't get how people can still defend Carey Price now. I want Carey Price. Now, granted, I'm not going to say, I wish he does bad. I wish he plays horrible. I wish he does well. I want Carey Price to do well. However, when you have that awful start, because don't tell me that Carey Price, there's nothing he could have done. He played horrible yesterday. Awful last night for the Montreal Canadiens. That was Carey Price in 2009 when Yaroslav Halak came in and saved the day. There's no Halak here. However, there is a Jake Allen. There needs to be a shakeup now because, listen, it's not Bergevin's fault that they were, Jeff Molson says, listen, go out and do your thing. Let's make this team. Let's try to win now if we can. This is the year to do it. Okay. Tyler Toffoli. All right. Shea Weber's still there. Cool. You're getting a couple pieces here and there. Josh Anderson. All right. We traded Max Domi for him. Let's see if this works out. It's worked out so far. 9 goals and 2 assists for Josh Anderson. I believe. I don't know if he scored last night. A lot of players scored last night. But the goaltending needs to be better. And like I said, maybe it's just Ottawa's beating all these things. Maybe Carey Price will go out the next night. They play Vancouver or something. I forget the next game for Montreal. He goes out, gets a 37 save shutout. All right, Montreal's off his back for a day or 2. Maybe just Ottawa is going to be the thorn in the side of their usual Atlantic Division foes in Toronto and Montreal. Maybe that's just Ottawa's thing this year. But yes, if Carey Price has a better game and the Habs win, maybe Claude Julien and Kirk Muller don't get fired. And maybe they don't get fired if the right call was made in that review late in regulation. Looks like the Habs score. Oh, knock, knock, knock. Here comes Toronto. Hello. Are you there, Ma? Yes, we'd like to talk about the previous goal. It's under review. Okay, what do we got? Well, it's pretty apparent that we had a goaltender interference call. Gallagher ran into Matt Murray. And, we thought maybe it's interference, but it seemed like, there was a day and a half. I mean, a couple of the guys were at the line to Tim Hortons. They were pretty long, but by the time they got their coffee, he was able to stand back up, it looked like. But what do you guys think? Well, let's look at the play here. Go into the video. No, excuse me. They're on video review. So literally no bigger than this phone here is what they're watching the thing on. I'm like, all right, watch on NHL.tv, probably just hitting the rewind button every 30 seconds. Well, I can tell you guys right now, it looks like Gallagher's foot touched the stick of Matt Murray when the shot was taken. After Gallagher, of course, got dumped in by Colin White into the goaltender. The Ottawa defenseman hitting the Montreal player into the Ottawa goaltender. Now, the rule is, I think 63.6. I have to check my memory on that one. But the rule is, if the player makes contact with the goaltender in the crease, if the player, by the time the puck is in the net and the player is not trying to get out of the crease yet, there is goaltender interference. If that's the rule, listen, I'm a former goaltender, okay? And I hated getting hit. But I can tell you right now, I could have done 3 down and backs by the time Murray was hit and by the time the puck went in the back of the net. That's how long it was. Guys, the Irishman wrapped up before the puck was in the net after Murray was hit. That's how long there was between Gallagher getting hit into Matt Murray. Yes, did Gallagher try to drive this from the side of the net? Yes, but Who bumped him? Who was on top of him? Colin White of the Ottawa Senators. So, what happens here? Why do I feel like I'm doing this so much this year? I'm defending Montreal all the time. I am a Leafs fan, folks. I got the Leafs on right now. I've done a lot of defending for Montreal this season, so I feel like I should get either free, like Molson Canadian or something, or maybe free tickets to the Bell Center next season. I don't know. Of course, the border's got to open up for us Americans, but regardless, Gallagher gets pushed into him, and yes, was Gallagher's leg on Murray's stick that inhibited him from using his stick to make the save, even though, by the way, the shot went glove side on Matt Murray regardless. Oh, goody. And Travis Boyd just got dumped into the net, but it looks like he'll be okay. Power play come up here for the Leafs in the second period. Still scoreless between Calgary and the Leafs. Back to Montreal and Ottawa. I get it. Tyler, you should be defending the goaltenders. Goaltenders union, right? Correct. However, I know the difference between getting hit, affecting your play, and getting bumped and trying to get back into position. Now, I was listening to Hockey Central today, and I was like, goaltenders are taught to kind of sell it a little bit. Make sure they sell it a little bit more. I love Dominik Hasek, one of my favorite goaltenders. You ever see me play? You can see why. But whenever I saw him get bumped and he fell back into his net and his gloves went flying in the air, that got me so bad. It made me so mad because you're such a great goaltender, right? Come on. You're such a great goaltender. Why do you need to flop? If you honestly, I get it. It's playing the game. It's how you affect the play. And I did a lot of that stuff as a goaltender. I made sure I dictated where face-offs went in the offensive zone, the defensive zone for me. And I did all that little things, and I stick clipped and everything and found every way to get position, how to draw a penalty. But when you lay down in your crease and you have time to get up, I made sure I tried to do it sneakishly or slyly. There's got to be a different way to describe it. But those are the words I'm going to use. I would try to get away with it in some facet. Not just, oh, man, I've been hit. Oh, golly. Oh, I'm down. I'm hurt. Oh, no one touch me right now. I got to get up, guys. I am a professional athlete. I'm totally okay with everything. Let me just, oh, shoot, the puck's in the net. Well, that can't count. I was hit. What was that? 5 seconds and 10 seconds of laying around, flopping around with no one around me? I'm sorry. Oh, my gosh. Let me tell you right now, it'd be like me if I dropped this remote. Oh, no, my remote's down. Oh, no. Oh, gosh, guys. Remote's right there. I just got to quickly reach down and grab it. It may take half a second, but oh, man. Oh, geez. Okay. I've got it, guys. I got it. Looks pretty lazy, does it not? Now, yes, does it sound like I'm calling out Matt Murray for being lazy? I hope so. Mike Babcock got fired last season because Marc-Andre Fleury made a great save. Claude Julien and Kirk Muller got fired because Matt Murray is a lazy son of a gun. Oh, but he's just playing the game, trying to get a competitive edge. Oh, kick rocks with flip-flops. He could have easily gotten up. I could have gotten up, and I have awful hips. I'm going to need hip surgery by the time I'm 30, and I could have gotten up faster. I'm spitting again. Seriously, Montreal, give me some money here because I'm defending your team. Seems like at least every other week here on TKS. But it's a bummer. You hope the Habs can turn it around because, hey, I love the fact when the Leafs and Habs were 1-2 in the division. I like those. Those were make those battles so intense. Let's get back to that. I think Dominic Ducharme, I don't know. He doesn't have much of a head coaching pedigree. It's his first real gig. Elliot Friedman said that they're going to ride with him throughout the rest of the season. They're not going to go looking for someone. If it works out with Ducharme, then yes, he'll probably be the coach longer term. If it doesn't, well, then they'll move to the offseason. Or they'll look for someone to use in the go to the offseason. So we'll have to see about that. So that is it for this quick hits edition here of TKS. I'm Tyler Kuehl saying thank you once again for tuning in. Thank you to Erik Pessolano. I probably should email him because I don't think he was expecting me to just cut him off on the video chat. So I'll have to tell him and say apologize. And dogs are running into the studio once again. We got 2 dogs here tonight because Kelly has a friend over and she brought her dog. So we got a big dog and a small dog. Oh boy, yeah, you can feel everything shaking. Do you mind? Yes, Kelly's back for the second time in 3 days. I'll sign off here because
you gotta see this dog.
No, I do not need to see this dog. Well, I do. I've seen him, but no. Well, there's Wixie. Yes, of course, everyone's seen Wixie. Yeah, I dare you try to lift Tango.
Come here.
Oh boy. Oh boy. Here comes the dog on the screen. That is Tango. Tango's like, what is happening? That dog is so reluctant to be there. That is our friend Deanna. We are going to get off here before anything else happens here on the Kuehl Show. Saying thank you all once again for tuning in, and we'll see you back Monday. Actually, I got to quickly explain Monday's show now. Okay, you two out. I have to explain. Get out of here, you two wine drinkers. Get out of here. I have to explain what's going on Monday for those that are tuning in. No, D, I can see you. You're saying Kelly watch, and Deanna's just gonna. What the? You two get the heck out of here so I can finish my show. Gosh. Anyway, it's supposed to be Quick Shift or Quick Hits Edition. Now it's turned into regular show here on TKS. So Monday's show, it'll be here on the Kuehl Show networks. So Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, Twitch. It'll be all on there. It'll be all right on here where you're watching it right now. Because Monday night is technically the 1-year anniversary since the wife and I got married. Because we got married on Leap Day. So technically our anniversary is not until 2024. However, apparently, we still have to celebrate it every 365 days. So on March 1st, which is next Monday, we'll be going out to dinner and celebrating whatever. So I will not be able to do the show live here on 12-ounce or live on 12-ounce sports, my usual Monday night. We're going to try to figure out a way to get it live for our 12-ounce sports fans out there, just so they can, see me usually. Won't be as long. We're going to have the replay of the Erik Pessolano interview. So that'll be on the show as well. We should be having an interview tomorrow. I think keep tabs right here on the social media platforms for TKS at the Kuehl Show on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. Make sure you stay on there because we'll make the announcement tomorrow to make sure the interview is going to happen at 3 o'clock tomorrow. If it happens, knock on wood, I'll make sure we keep tabs on it. If it doesn't happen, then it doesn't happen. If it does, it will be live tomorrow right here on your Kuehl Show networks, as well as on the replay on Monday morning. It'll be at, I can't believe I'm going to say this, 6 o'clock in the morning. Oh boy. It'll be at 6 a.m. I'll be honest, probably none of you will see it, but hey, maybe you guys are some early birds out there that want to tune in. Don't worry. There'll be the podcast form as well. That'll go up later. The YouTube channel. Oh, look, we have possible goaltending interference because who was that? Was that Jimmy Vesey following Dave Riddick? But hey, look, he's off him and we got a wrestling match behind the goal. Oh boy. Who do we got here? We have Austin Matthews and Anderson. Elias Anderson. Okay. Austin Matthews getting feisty. Man. Poppy over there with his receding hairline getting a little feisty over there in Toronto. Of course, they're wearing their awful reverse retros tonight, which no one likes to see at all. But regardless, back to the story. And so 6 o'clock, Monday morning, maybe 6:30. We'll see how it goes. 6 o'clock, though, for sure. Monday morning, we'll make sure we post it out. Probably Sunday we'll post it because obviously we got to make sure that you guys know when it's going to be. And because if I do a morning post on Monday, it'll be like at 4 o'clock, and no one's up that early. Not even morning radio show hosts are up that early. So I'll be sure to post it on Sunday. We'll get more information for you there. I'll be live with it, like I said. But we will have the interview from Erik Pessolano today. We'll also have, hopefully, an interview tomorrow. If not, we'll have some more news for you. It may only be a couple hours long, though, so don't be like, oh, why is it not 2.5 hours? Because, listen, I'm on probably no sleep at that point, and it's early. So, but regardless, it'll be live here on the Kuehl Show Networks. We'll try to get up on 12-ounce sports, 6 o'clock Monday night like usual. We'll be back to our normal schedule the following week on the 8th, 12-ounce sports, Monday night, 6 to 8:30 p.m. Eastern time. Maybe a couple more interviews next week as well. Maybe some quick hits. We'll have to see. Haven't gotten anyone yet, but we'll make sure we do that for you as well. But that is it for this week's edition of TKS Quick Hits. Like I said, maybe an interview tomorrow. Monday for sure, 6 a.m. Oh, yeah, right here on the Kuehl Show channels, streaming channels, social media networks, whatever you want to call them. That is it. I'm the Insider, the Insider's Tyler Kuehl saying so long, and we'll see you next time on The Kuehl Show.